about time is because I want to do introductions around the room, and that's going to take a couple more minutes, so. All right. So, am I visiting you? Yes. Okay. All right, welcome to Friday Coffee. So glad we're here. Who in this room, maybe it's their first time coming to Friday Coffee? Oh, you don't have to go around the room, so introduce yourself and we'll kind of keep it brief and we'll try to have announcements at the end because we've got a great announcement from our sponsor, the East Side Business Association, and then we're going to run through some quick chamber announcements. We've got a special guest, a little presentation, even before we get to hear from the mayor. So I'm Susan from the chamber.
Ashley from the chamber.
Dan Basil with Home Helpers at Eastside Business Association.
Joey O'Connor, Mid Rivers Insurance and President of Eastside Business Association.
Sarah Alsager with Communique and also on the Eastside board.
Mark Miller with Jefferson Bank, also Eastside Business.
Cindy Schneider, retired with Central Bank.
Paula Benny, CNS Business Services.
Frank Reisig. Oh, go ahead.
That usually happens on Zoom.
Don Nates with the Cell for You and High Street Retreat and Residence Chair for the Eastside Business. Manager.
Frank Reisig, Donna, and I'm with AG Road.
Amy Rogers and I'm with Eastside Business.
Aaron Neely, Ward 2 City Council candidate.
Good morning, Michelle Weaver, Cumulus Media. Deb Bushman, Holland Family Chiropractic.
Brittany Wade, Covenant Chiropractic and Pediatrics.
Mike Lester, City Council, Ward 2. Mike Murders, State Fair Community College.
Lillian with Align Chiropractic. Erica, Align Chiropractic.
Steve Waters with Waterland Litigation Services.
Cecile Landrum with Brett's Real Estate, member of Eastside Business.
Who on the outside?
Gary Plummer with the Chamber and Bonnie out there. Josh Hoffman with Max Food.
Amy Schrader, Jason Parks. Molly Bryan, Jason Parks.
Todd Smallman, Jason Parks.
Nancy Ray, American Cancer Society. Claudia Young with the library next door. Sarah with Sarah Brown Wellness.
Evan Bill with the Jackson Construction.
Terry Raffers, retired.
Myra Moore, Animal Medical Center.
Nicole Shepherd's Yoga Flow at Eastside Business Association.
Jason Grunder, Liberty Family Medicine, Liberty Insurance.
Dr. Passion with Liberty County Medicine. Cameron Cotton, Fremont Jefferson City.
Dr. Enslinger with Jason Peets. Alicia Klein, Jason Peets. Dr. Laura Bowles, Jason.
Cameron Gerber with the Houston.
Joni Henderson with Kids First. Ryan Burns, Jefferson City School District.
Brian McGraw, Jason School.
Rachel Bush, All Seasons Roofing.
Natalie Newville with the library, Kristen Sullivan with Missouri Women's Business Center, and I am your YP treasurer.
Andrew Brenner, J.C. Parks.
Kim Slaughter, Riverbend Dentistry, and Jefferson City Association Board.
Stephanie Langdon, CNS Business Services and Eastside Business Association Vice President.
Peter Graycraft, First State Bank Trust, also Eastside Business.
I'm Brad Shubins, Clean Fuels Alliance American. I'm the treasurer for the East Side.
Carrie Tergin from Carrie's Hallmark and mayor of Jefferson City.
And on the inside?
Okay, bat and cleanup here. Katrina Tinnen with Central Bank and a nonprofit called the Red Slipper Warrior Project.
Annie Hyatt with Naples Construction.
Mitchell Finler with Naples. John Long is our farm bureau.
Anybody else, Bunny?
Bunny Tracy Cotton with Remax Jefferson City, and that's another thing with Bunny as well.
Anybody else that didn't get a chance to slip in for introductions? Great, glad that you guys are all here. You got our PowerPoint live here. There we go. Okay. We do have some folks joining us on Zoom. How many are on Zoom?
We have 30.
30. Oh my goodness. Does anybody on Zoom want to unmute and introduce themselves quickly? Just real quick. Anybody? Now that we said that, they were like, no way. Well, save that for an announcement at the end. We do have 30 folks joining us on Zoom, and that's exciting. We're glad that they're tuned in. Introductions. Oh, okay. We want to welcome some of our new members that we have. Now that Friday Coffee is every other month, our list is a little bit longer, and that's great. 7 Brew Coffee, Art Physical Therapy, Casper 66, Central Missouri Forest Products, Immune Tech Biocenters, GCPs, Liberty Family Medicine, also in the room, Lincoln Technical College, Monson Enterprises, Rivers Bend Pizzeria, Rush Interior Designs, Growth Coach of Columbia, and the Trolley Company. So those are folks that have joined since we got together for our Friday Coffee. So a few of you are here, welcome. Now I'm going to turn it over to the East Side Business Association. No, I'm just going to do the presentation. Now that we know the cleaners will hear.
Hi, everyone. I'm Peter Grayfrath. I'm Eastside Business Association board member, as well as on our grant committee, and that's what I'm here to just briefly talk about. I don't want to take much time at all. Appreciate the opportunity. Mark Miller sits on that board, as well as Donna Dietz, or that committee, excuse me. It was an initiative of the strategic plan of the Eastside Business Association about 3 years ago. Am I right, guys? To bring forward this grant program. Took a little bit of time to get it off the ground, and we really feel like we're ready to just get it out in the community to make sure that everyone is aware of this opportunity for new businesses, existing businesses, growing businesses on the east side. So here's the first slide. Let's just talk about our mission. I'll briefly read that, but you know, we're focused on the east side of town and growing business, as well as sorry. I'll move on to our board. So here's our current board for the next, what, 15 days? Is that right?
Oh, it's the speed version.
Sorry, guys.
It does have time.
I'm not techy at all.
Just press that back arrow. Just press the back arrow.
Okay. So here's our board. We have the other board members listed out to the right. So, and then just the grant overview. We provide up to a $2,000 business grant for a business opening on the east side of Jeff City. It helps offset early costs. Rent, let's go back, deposit for your space, purchasing equipment. Really, we're not limiting anyone for that grant opportunity. We love to see the growth on the east side. So if it's something that you guys have questions on, certainly approach us. We'd love to have the opportunity to give out that money. Sorry. Apologize. But here's one of our members who is in the back there. They got a grant. So we're excited about it, guys. If you have any questions, I threw some on the table, just our grant application. It is on our website. It's a fillable document. You get it to, you submit it online, right, Joey? And then it gets to us. The grant committee reviews those, and then we go on and present to the board on the decision. But we've so far given out 2 grants, and we look forward to giving out lots more. I think we each budget year we set aside two different grants of up to, and those are varying amounts. So we set aside $4,000, but that is not, again, that's just in our budget, so we can go over that amount too if the board decides to do so. So no more time, and I'm not taking any questions.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. The last slide that you didn't see did say if you want to become a member of the Jeff City Eastside Business Association.
And I do want to plug our golf tournament May 19th. If you guys are free, thanks for our support.
Is that one? Yeah, it's only $50 a year, or 15 as a residential member. You get a draw on mine. The first one is for $25 to Nick's Restaurants, and it goes to Dr. Emslander.
Get up there. So.
To Andy Rogers. Yeah, one photo with both.
Yeah.
All righty, Amy, you're up there.
This.
You go first.
No, you go first. Get right first. We're professionals.
Thank you.
And there is a good fun activity, college dinner.
Oh, the college dinner.
Yeah.
Great.
Both members of that.
Well, thank you for that sponsorship. We also thank the sponsor for our Friday coffee. Michelle is here. It's a partnership with your sponsor. You not only get the exposure here, but Michelle helps you get more exposure. You can see the list of the radio stations there for exposure. And we are already taking sponsorships for 2024. So if you have an interest in being a sponsor, Michelle, anything you want to add?
We talk to close to 200,000 people each week. There are radio stations and a digital product. So we have, so reach out to us to get your message on the radio station.
Well, we appreciate that partnership. Some quick announcements from the chamber, other ways to network. This is a great opportunity in the morning. We have opportunities in the afternoon. On the third Thursday from 4 to 5:30, we always get together at a different chamber member restaurant or a bar. And so March 16th, 4 to 5:30 is our next chamber connection. Mid-America Bank is the sponsor, and that's at the Courtyard Marriott. So we encourage you to bring your business cards and come network at Chamber Connections. Ashley, do you want to talk about your lunch and learn that you've got set up?
Yep, the next lunch and learn is gonna be on March 28th, from 11:30 to 1. Members are 15, non-members 25. Missouri Women's Business Center, Sarah Sire will be the presenters. We presenting on building your business mission, vision, and values. So you can either register online or contact me directly.
March 28th. Also, YP has got an event, one of their charity fundraisers, their signature event. It's on April 13th. I don't know if there's anybody in the room that's on that committee working on it. Probably yes, because it's a great committee, but they're selling their tickets. The charity they announced is the Special Learning Center. So it's a great opportunity for networking for a good cause. That's a YP wine competition on April 13th. Also, Gary, you wanted to talk about your state of the city and the county. It's on April 28th.
Yeah, we're gonna focus on workforce at this event, April 28th. We're doing the state of the city and county on an annual basis. We're gonna alternate between traditional state of the city and county with speeches from both groups. This one will have a couple of panels on workforce issues, including housing and childcare. So it should be a very interesting program with Scholastic and Unilever as our main sponsors. So come out and join us.
It's hard to believe it's the next time we get together, the barbecue will have already happened because Friday Coffee is now every other month. So I want to put a plug in May 11th, this barbecue by the Bluffs. This is the chamber's biggest networking event, over 1,200 tickets sold last year. We've had as many as 1,500 people there. It's at Capitol Bluffs. You can see there's opportunities to promote your business. All the tents with the logos on there. So that's May 11th. And if you have an interest, there's a lot of committee volunteers in the room that are working on that too. So May 11th is the chamber barbecue.
What's the price?
The price is $25. And speaking, I spoke, this meeting is every other month because we launched our small business roundtable. We had our small business roundtable last month, and there's a photo of the folks that were there. Jeremy from Williams Keeper there, they were the sponsor. We had a great 30. We actually had to stop taking reservations, and we did. One thing that we did is we talked about different topics, and marketing and branding was one of the topics that they wanted to see. So I thought, wow, your lunch and learn just works perfectly into that. So I wanted to make sure and point that out. But we will have our next one on April 14th, and Mid-America Bank is going to be the facilitator for that, and Covenant Pediatrics is going to be the sponsor. So if you are a small business owner, 1, 5, 10, 20 employees, that's really geared for you, this discussion, and like have you join us and help us grow this program. I did mention that Friday coffees are every other month, so the next time we're going to see each other will be May, but it's even different again because it's not going to be the day after the barbecue, because it will be May 12th, and that would be good. We will still be cleaning up out there. So the barbecue's May 11th, so Friday coffee is May 19th, and you can see the other dates on there. So glad that you guys are here. I'm going to turn it over to Carrie this time.
Okay, you probably saw a sign out front about the Kids First campaign, or the ballot issue on April 4th. Chamber's a big supporter of that. Also, Building Civic Progress has endorsed it. and made a contribution to that campaign. We have special guests here from the Jefferson City School District. I'm going to invite Brian McGraw to introduce the other folks that are involved in the campaign of the school district. And Brian, do you want to make a comment before we show this video?
Sure, thanks for inviting us here today, giving us your time and attention. Excuse my dress, but we have kind of a big game the next 2 nights. Boys play tonight down Bolivar, and the girls play tomorrow, same place. So we're excited for them to win. Here, Director of Communications for the district, and one of our tribe chairs, Joni Henderson, from the community and longtime JC Schools teacher. Our other chairs for Kids First are former Mayor John Landwehr and Ashley Freeman, a parent and JC alum. We have a star for our video here. April 4th is our bond initiative, zero tax increase, tax rate increase. She says it all, Isabel Dern, as many of you know and may have seen, 7th grade student at Lewis and Clark. Our big thing, and it'd be important for the East Side Association who's here today, is a new pre-K center with access up on McCarty Street. So we're really excited about the potential to have that, to go from 150 students to almost 350 students and serve more kids in our community. But she'll say it all because she's much better than I am. But again, thank you for your time and attention today. And I'll just let you hit play.
Looks like it might be frozen right now.
I haven't memorized.
Is it on YouTube? Or it's on your
jcschools.us. Yep.
Here we go.
We now interrupt your scheduled programming for a JC Schools special report.
Hello, and welcome to the special report. I'm here to tell you about Kids First, a JC Schools bond issue. From a kid's perspective, this April, voters will be asked to vote on Kids First, which will build a new early childhood center for our community and make improvements to existing facilities. But what does this mean for you and your wallet? Kids First is a zero tax rate increase bond issue. That means it will not change the district's current tax rate. Kids First would lead to changes for our littlest learners, our preschoolers in the district. Just look how cute they are. But these kids aren't just cute. They are at an important stage of their development as they begin their academic careers. Research shows that students in preschool are less likely to be placed in special education or drop out of school, and are more likely to further their education and be employed. A new preschool center would be open to children across the community. At JC Schools, we are currently serving 150 children in our preschool program. Kids First includes building a new early childhood center that will double the number of children the district serves in preschool from 150 to 300. Kids First will impact the little kids and the big kids in JC Schools. The bond issue includes renovating both Lewis and Clark Middle School and Thomas Jefferson Middle School. 2,000 students walk through our middle school halls every day. That's gotta add up to some wear and tear. Plus, our middle schools were built in 1993, which happens to be the same year Jurassic Park first hit theaters. So yeah, our middle schools are 30 years old. Parker would know. He walks the halls all day, every day. Right, Parker? Kids First would include funding for other projects too. If passed, JC Schools will also upgrade technology for all classrooms, pre-K through 8th grade. Outdated smartboards would be replaced with interactive touchscreen panels, the kind that our 9th through 12th grade students already have in their high school classrooms. Nichols Career Center helps prepare students for a variety of career paths after high school. Kids First will expand the Nichols campus and its course offerings. That means more kids from 13 area schools will have a chance to get real skills and real-world experience. Kids First will also replace the aging sound and light equipment at the Miller Performing Arts Center. Hey, who turned out the lights? I hope I have helped to shine more light on the projects included in the JC Schools Kids First bond issue. Be sure to get out and vote on April 4th.
People were fighting over being her agent, but I think her mom already is.
Does anybody have any questions or?
We did her in the theater.
Thank you all for inviting us here. And clearly, we are all here for the community, and we know that a strong school system benefits and makes our community better. And we just need people to vote. Takes some time, but we really need people to show up and vote. This has to pass by 4 seconds. So nothing is better than what is in this package. Hopefully you'll share the support with everyone that you know. Remind them to vote on April 4th.
John Lambert said you could vote twice, too.
All right, we're gonna transition. Anyone have any questions or anything before we transition? Gary, you're gonna introduce the mayor?
Yes, it's my pleasure to introduce Mayor Tergin today. She really doesn't require much of an introduction. She's been on the city council for 8 years. She's completing her 8th year as mayor of the city here in just a few weeks. And we invited her to come today and give an update on the MS2 redevelopment project, which is an exciting opportunity for the future of our community. And Mayor, I'm going to
Thank you. Thank you all for having me. I'm really excited to talk about my favorite thing in Jefferson City, the prison. So, I love it. And give you an overview kind of how far we've come over the last 8 years and we're going into the future so that we have a lot to look forward to. So by now, I hope everybody knows all 3 answers. That little pop quiz here, that by now, if you've been to any of my presentations, you'll know what 3 things Jefferson City has that no other city in the country has. So we have the state capitol, the river, and the prison, a historic retired penitentiary. We're the only city that has all 3. So some cities have a capital. If you think about it, how many capitals have a river? Okay, and then how many actually have a historic pen? And there's very few of those. In fact, the one we have is pretty historic. It's 100 years older than Alcatraz. And historic penitentiaries are something that's a tourist magnet. So there's one in Eastern State that attracts over 300,000 visitors. And people even get married there. So imagine the ultimate ball and chain of getting married. We can make this happen. We can reach these numbers. So, and I want to throw it back to our very first concert, Inside the Walls. This was when Travis Tritt came. And was anyone else there with me that night? Some of you were there. And what I loved was being able to walk in and everybody just said, wow, because it was such a cool venue. So aside from all the history and the tours and the importance, just the significance of where it is just in history, there's also the entertainment aspect that draws people to Jefferson City. And what a cool venue. So we hope to have many more. We started with Travis Tritt, then we had Winona Judd the next year, and then we had Big and Rich. And making those concerts happen was not just ask the state, because they do still own this area in the upper yard. Hey, can we have a concert? And they say, sure. No, this took years to accomplish and a lot of people to work together to make it happen. But what a cool venue, and we hope to have even more. But the state was generous enough to allow us to have this because they also value MSP as the redevelopment and the tourist attraction that it is. And you can see just how popular it is there. And looking at the crowd, and this was that first concert. This is a view from the housing unit that you can actually see down into the crowd. So it's a really cool venue, and this slide I just put in here because there's a little tour bus down there, because that's really what this is about, is visitors and tourism to our city. And some of us, we're so used to it and tired of hearing about MSP, and I hear that all the time, like whatever. This is a big deal, and sometimes we overlook it, we forget about it, it's just sitting over here, just undeveloped and ready to go. So that's why I want to talk about this today, because there's the tourism piece and the redevelopment piece. And sometimes people still think, like, what are we doing with the tourism piece? Does that mean we're tearing this down? No, we are keeping the historic part for the tours, and we're enhancing it and adding new pieces to MSP, because it's quite a bit of land. But I do want to focus on the historic tourism piece. So this is housing unit 3, also known as A Hall. It is the most historic housing unit on the property. And so oftentimes if you go in here, you'll see Sonny Liston's cell. There's a lot of historic significance here. And look at the roof in there, because this is what it was pre-tornado, and then this is what it was right after the tornado. Oh no. Thing to do, bring your family and friends. And it changes. They've uncovered the buried cells. So even if you have had a tour, you might not have had the same tour. And there's different tours, the history tour, if you're into the photography, the ghost tours, the overnight tours, whatever you want to do, I would highly recommend it. Sometimes we don't think about it till we have company come in town, but definitely keep this on your radar. They just started up. And we have over 30,000 people a year that visit MSP. And this slide here, I know it's small, so I can get it to Gary if y'all want to see it, but the big number there is economic attendance expenditure, $3.5 million, visitor contributions, and that's annually. That's economic impact MSP has to us with hotel stays, people coming to the restaurants and attractions, and it may likely be even more than that, but this is what we are estimating from our Convention and Visitors Bureau. Diane has put this slide together and to show the impact. And 30,000 visitors from 48 states. 48 states, they're coming here to Jefferson City. So how are they even getting here? They're coming through the entire state of Missouri to get here from 48 other states. That was just last year, the 30,000 visitors annually. So they started when they opened with 3,000 visitors. Remember that first year when the line went around the block and we all had to get a peek of it? And now we're at 30,000. And I mentioned earlier, Eastern State's number is 300,000 annually. So we can really build on what we have because people do come to these attractions. And then this is the deed to the land. And I like to put this in here because the deed we got for our 20 to 30 acres was a really big deal. So that took several years to get. We've come really far in the last 8 years, from the time the prison was vacated and they moved out until today, because the city now owns part of the MSP redevelopment area. And it took an act of the legislature, I was gonna say almost like an act of God is what it felt like, but the legislature supported this because our mission was to facilitate redevelopment at the site, which takes us to where we are now. So we got the deed, we can't forget just how important that is. So this is originally when we got the deed, you'll see the area in red, that is the area that is owned by the city now. And this is just kind of overlaid on what it looks like today. And then this is the original MSP master plan. So I'll toggle between these a little bit to kind of give you an idea so you can see what's there currently. And so the main thing is this middle area where it's all just open undeveloped land. Imagine in the capital city, I talked about our 3 assets that we're the only one that has it. I just talked about how many thousands of people are coming to the historic site right here. And imagine here we have open undeveloped land down by the river with this amazing river view. Like we really have land down by the river. It is beautiful and a stunning view. So this is what we have here. And looking at the redevelopment, this was the conference center. So that's what they anticipated. This is nothing new that happened when I became mayor. This is what several mayors before me talked about, and people worked hard to come up with this. The state health lab is there, so see it, there it is, and a private DNR, or Lewis and Clark in DNR building. So those 2 exist. What you'll see over there is the state anticipating future offices. There's 95 acres to the east that butts up to Riverside Park, by the way. So this is where that is. So currently, this is the area here that we're talking about. And there's been a few changes and updates, so I'll give you some of that here. So this is fast forward to today, and this area where in yellow has now been deeded back over to the state because they have plans that they didn't have when we started this project. So they anticipate putting their One Health lab onto this, which is a very significant investment from the state. We're very excited. We understand they hope to break ground in maybe by the end of this year. I mean, they're anticipating, so we're really hoping that that happens, and we're excited that this is going to happen. But I'll show you this here, that some of the items that are featured on this, because I'll dig into them a little more, is in blue is the proposed hotel, and the purple is the proposed conference center, and then the red is some parking here, and then the purple are like pad sites where we're going to have some development. We currently have, as you've already heard, there's 2 associations that are interested in building their office kind of down here in this area. So this is Chestnut, to give you some bearings of where we are. That's Chestnut, and this is Lafayette. So this area here is pad sites for redevelopment, and we currently are working with Missouri Behavioral Health Association and Primary Care Association. So they're working together on that partnership, and then the One Health Lab. So let's see. It stops here. Okay, perfect. So there's the redevelopment. Okay, so this is also what we submitted to our EDA grant to show them what is planned here. And I want to mention EDA grant because I want to talk a little bit about the investments that are in the site, which are significant. And they happened before any of us really anticipated, because the first big investment, one of the first, is right here. And we forget about it. You know the Lafayette Street interchange? A $25 million interchange? That wasn't just built for the heck of it. That was built for MSP redevelopment, because they knew when that was built that it would lead to this site, and so that's why it's there. Of course, you can see over here, the federal courthouse, right there, the Kinmon Federal Courthouse was built there also knowing what was going to be with the future of the site. They knew this wouldn't just sit here empty and vacant. So there's significant investments made. Other significant investments, EDA grant, which we got because of our tornado, is going to help build infrastructure. We have city and county joint sales tax to build the road. The state is also sharing in the cost of the road. And then we have the developer that I'll talk about a little bit, who has a near $25 million investment in putting a hotel here, which would be where the blue is. And so there's other investments as well. We have a lot of incentives that we'll be putting here in the site, basically every incentive in the book, because we know this is going to be very expensive to build on a site like this, but we also are going to put everything we possibly can, TIFs and CDDs and TDDs and anything that basically the users to the site will reinvest back into it. And frankly, that's what's happening now with our Convention and Visitors Bureau. All of the revenue from their tours goes right back into the site. So we're going to see significant investment. So if you add up from the 25 million to the interchange and 25 million from private investment and the lodging tax that we have that's going to pay for the conference center and all the other investments that are going to happen, and you start adding all those millions and millions and the millions that the state is putting in the One Health Lab, it is probably the most dollars invested right here, concentrated in all of Jefferson City right now. So this is where the focus is, and this is where people are coming from all over the country, right here in our backyard. So I'm going to talk about the One Health Lab, and even though it's a state project, we are working very closely with the state. This is just a rendering of what that's going to look like. So this is it right here. I have 3 photos here, so I'll just show you kind of what that's anticipated to look like. So that will bring employees to the site and will really bring that to life. So we're very excited about that. So those are 3 concept drawings in one health lab, but that is very exciting to know that's going to be there. I love this slide. This slide is the concept of the hotel. So on the left here is the hotel. You can see the river behind it. And this is the anticipated hotel. Our developer is Chesterfield. So David Parmalee is the developer here, and he's working with Carrie Construction, which is voted the #1 construction firm in Missouri. Carrie is out of St. Louis. So this hotel is scheduled to be a Tapestry by Hilton. And if you're not familiar with Tapestry, it's a little bit more unique. We don't want a cookie cutter hotel here. What I really like about David Parmalee is he understands the unique nature of this site. So he really has kind of creative, neat ideas to make it really integrated into what the site is and what MSP is. You don't want to just come to some hotel that's basic, you can go anywhere. So that's really unique. And over here, you'll see the housing unit 3 that I mentioned, the A hall that had the roof blown off. That's where it is right there. So we're still going to integrate the tours, and we're going to keep that. But we will be taking out housing unit 5, which is where the hotel will sit. Housing unit 5 was also hit by the tornado, doesn't have the historic significance, so it will be taken down and then the hotel will be in its place. And frankly, that was the best view. Right here is the view from housing unit 5. That's built blank, by the way. But you can see, imagine this housing unit 5, but taken down in the hotel in its place and coming to Jefferson City for a conference and looking out your hotel room. I mean, who doesn't want a river view? When you go to a hotel, you want the ocean view, you want the water view. We have it here in Jefferson City, right here, just within a mile of where you're sitting. One of the most stunning views, and the only ones that had it were the prisoners. And now we are about to open that up to anybody. And so here it is right here, but it's an amazing view. And here's another one of the view looking out the windows there. Like, how cool would this be? And then if you look to the east, you can see the Missouri State Capitol. So this here is a concept drawing from the hotel. This is a rooftop bar and restaurant. So any of you have gone to the Broadway Hotel in Columbia, this is the same developer. So Dave Parmalee that we have selected, the city council selected him to work with him and engage on this project, is proven. He has the product that we love. That's what really sold this, is we have an ideal location for a rooftop bar. We wouldn't want to come and bring your clients or go there after work, or have a drink. Like many of us go to Columbia just to go to the rooftop bar. You can look over downtown Columbia. Well, we have this, and you're going to look at the Missouri River View and MSP. So how cool would this be? Now this I'm showing you just to give you an idea of the lay of the land of MSP. So the red brick is the housing unit 5 that I talked about will be torn down to put the hotel. But this is closest to the river. The river's over here, and then this is like MSP over here, like that's the housing unit 3. But just to show you the topography, because a lot of times when we look at the master plan, it's very flat. But when you really get into it, there's a significant amount of elevation in MSP. So this kind of shows you where that will be. And here's another view. This is one of the old shoe factories, which unfortunately is too far gone to really be salvaged. Unfortunately, a lot of neglect has happened there, and likely doesn't make sense to keep that. But this would be the hotel up here, and then you can kind of see the trains up towards the front of that slide, and then the river. And the river. So have to incorporate the river and just kind of remind you of what we have here and how close the river is to where we are. This is Adrian's Island in the end. You see all the trees there? That's what's known as Adrian's Island. So those of you that walk down Bicentennial Bridge and you get to that point where there's a little sign that says, please don't go any farther, unless some people kind of go around it. But anyway, if you keep going and you can look and you can see the federal courthouse from that point, this is where it's going to end up someday. So someday when this is redeveloped, the developer likely will want to have an access point here so that you can get from MSP to the Capitol along the riverfront. What an amazing walk. You can come to Jeff City, and in the evening you can walk to the Capitol or vice versa, or just get on the Katy Trail from there, or get on our Greenway Trail from here, or get to Riverside Park and go to our amphitheater from here. So we have a lot of potential here. So you can see housing unit 5, the red brick building there at the end, that is going to be the hotel right here. So that is where you'll have your view in the federal courthouse. And that is Lafayette right here. That leads you right to Highway 50. So how easy is this location? And the riverfront, here, why I show this next slide is if you look at the top, that line that goes up to the top is a proposed marina. Here we are again on the original master plan, years and years ago, before I was ever mayor. That is a proposed marina, riverfront access. And so I just show you kind of where we are and what they anticipated being here. So when I talk about connecting this to Adrian's Island, that's not a far-fetched idea, that is very real. But of course, we've got to get it developed and get this going, but I'm giving you what the vision is, because I'm not gonna be here to do it anymore. So it's got to get going, and it will, but this predates me as well. So someday we will have another access point. And the reason they looked here as well is because we don't have as many railroad tracks concentrated, but we still have the barrier there of tracks. But as you know, Chestnut is pretty much just a straight shot to the river there. So someday we can access it there. And I'm going a little bit now to the other side of Adrian's Island here is the Bicentennial Bridge. And here we are at Adrian's Island, and who would have thought that we would ever access Adrian's Island, right? You look at this, and there was a time when the only people who get there is a construction crew. And now it's done. And I kind of put that on there because I want to give a brief thank you to BJ DeLong, who made that happen. People like her and her vision from 50 years ago is what got us where we are today. And she waited patiently 50 years for this to happen. So I just want to say all these things that we're talking about are not out of the realm. They are happening in Jefferson City right now as we speak because of people with vision. And we never would have thought we would have seen this, the Bicentennial Bridge, and watching it come and be built. So it's real. We can do things that we just talk about that people are tired of talking about, that people don't want to hear about anymore. Yes, they can happen. So don't ever be discouraged when people say, why would anybody want to go to the river? Okay, here it is. This is Adrian's Island. This is the path that I said, if you keep going, you will get to MSP. And this is just a fun slide of people on their bikes, and you can see people walking. And I'm sure everybody's been down here. If you haven't, please do as the weather gets better. What a great opportunity. We have Todd, our Parks and Rec director right here, and Amy's here from Parks. Big kudos to Parks. They're working on trails right now. I can put you on the spot and ask anything to add on our trails out there.
They're nearly complete, so this spring, they'll be pretty much done, the rest of
Awesome. So bring your family and friends. They're working on the trails here. This is a big deal. And a lot of people come to this bridge. In fact, we had over 67,000 visitors that came across this bridge from last March. We didn't even have it from day one when we opened it. We just put that down in March, over 67,000 people. So this is like a big deal. And this was just taken about a week ago, so you can see that the grass is getting green over there. So very exciting. We have the hammocks if you want to go find a place to take a nap. You can go take a walk, bring a book. It's like such a cool place. Jefferson City can do these cool things and realize our potential, like what our assets are. We are a river city, so it is important that we enjoy the river. That's who we are. And speaking of enjoying the river, I want to say that now it is officially an award-winning Bicentennial Bridge. We received 2 awards. This was a week ago with Bartlett West Engineering. We won the honor award for engineering excellence from the ACEC, and it also won Project of the Year from American Public Works Association. And then, and then I want to touch briefly on Capitol Avenue. This is an old slide, but it is Ivy Terrace. They've done a lot more since then. Follow Ivy Terrace on Instagram and Facebook. They are working very hard to very meticulously renovate that into some event space. The history is very significant. I've had a tour of every part of this building, and once it's open, it's going to be amazing. And we almost lost this. And then here's the funeral home. This is something else that is on the list to be acquired. And I will tell you that I just put a couple Capitol Avenue slides to let you know where we are. Of course, the tornado ripped right through Capitol Avenue as well, but the city's been working over 8 years to acquire the properties that have been declared dangerous or that have been dilapidated by the owners, mostly Barbara Busher. And when this is done, we have her final properties in court. So when we are through that process, which is happening right now, we will have acquired all of Barbara Busher's properties. The city will have, and we'll be turning them over, which we have done some, like Ivy Terrace already, turning them over. Barbara Busher will no longer own property in Jefferson City. And this is almost 40 properties that we've acquired. This is no small task that the city has done. So I said, can we have this done before April 17th? But the courts, I mean, this is such a long process. They're like, no. So we won't be able to say it was done, but it is right there. It's in court as we speak. So we're not gonna stand for that in Jefferson City. All right, a few key things if you want to make some notes. We know we're gonna vote on our schools on April 4th. We also have a recreational marijuana sales tax only on recreational, not medical. Bulky item picked up, everybody wants to know those dates. April 17th, April 24th, so depending on where you are in the city, so kind of the citywide garage sale. And we have announced 4 shows at the CRNU Amphitheater, so mark your calendars. Scotty McQuarrie on May 26th, a Killer Queen cover band from England on July 15th, Joe Nichols on September 16th, which I like to say he sings Tequila makes her clothes fall off.
He does.
And then Oak Ridge Boys, September
That's all I'm gonna say.
22nd, he sings other things too.
Yeah, he does.
So those are some things that are coming up. And then of course, there's my phone number. If you need to call me, 230-7645. I'll leave it on that slide in case anyone's taking notes. And I want to say a couple things here about MSP from Diane is that MSP is, well, I should have said, what is our #1 tourist attraction on TripAdvisor in Jeff City? You might think it's the Capitol, but it's not, it's MSP. So rated #1 by TripAdvisor, has more reviews than the Capitol, and we continue to get the Traveler's Choice Award from TripAdvisor. So anyone who says they're tired of hearing about MSP, now you can tell them what's actually happening there. And where is it at? That's always the question. Where are we in this redevelopment? So we have the developer, we selected, the city said it's going to be, we had bids, we had public input, we took potential developers. We chose this concept of the hotel conference center concept. There were other concepts brought to the table, and this is what we chose because we knew it would have the best economic impact, and we know that we have the tourist CBB, the lodging tax to build the conference center. So the lodging tax is going to cover the cost of the conference center, and we have that. And then we have the developer putting the hotel. Where we are, of course, we hit a tornado and a pandemic. And the hospitality industry, as we know, pretty much came to a complete halt. And so we hit this at a time. I mean, we hit every challenge, honestly. We literally have hit, just same with the Bicentennial Bridge. So I'm kind of used to this. It's like part of my term is every challenge that Jefferson City's never had has kind of happened here. So you'll be glad when I'm done, right? But anyway, so every challenge that we had to face, including a pandemic. So we were unable to really get it moving as fast as we would have liked because of that, because we know lenders aren't building hotels and they're not building, although we are ready to get back to hotels and people are traveling now more than ever. And we're starting to see that, but it's just kind of coming out of that time. So our timing is tough because of that, because they need financing to build this, of course, a project of this magnitude. So while they have some financing, the construction costs have risen to upwards of 37 to 38% on this project. So that has been a challenge. So that means how are we going to look at this a little differently? Do you scale it back, or do you do other things to make it fit within that? Or do you just find more incentives for financing? Because we realize all of the positive impact this will have on our community and the need that we have for meeting space. So I want to get into, I don't need to, a lot of you in the room know the history of our conference center and how it's been looked at for different areas over the years and talked about. But we are actually at a place now where we have a spot, they're at MSP to put it, and we have the money to build it, and we need the hotel next to it, and we have a developer who has the perfect plan for it. So we just need to get this off the ground and make that happen. So we're working through the financing. It's super challenging. We are up for a few grants right now. We're hoping here by the end of March, a few of the grant opportunities, if we receive those. If we do, it'll make it significantly easier to make this happen. So we also know that this is a lot of contingent on the state's agreement to let us continue doing this, because when we got the land, there was a reverter that it can go back if we don't do anything with it or don't do what we promised the state we would do, which was develop and facilitate redevelopment. So that is in July of this year. So the state has given us an extension before. We have a great connection and working relationship with the state. We have no reason to think they wouldn't want to continue to see this happen. But we also know that we're working under a lot of those deadlines. So between the tornado, the pandemic, the financing, construction costs, inflation, and all those challenges, I still feel that it can get to the finish line if we continue to be strong and keep it going. But all it takes though is, it doesn't take much where it could be changed or ideas can stop or come to a halt. So I really don't want to see that. I'm coming to a halt on April 17th, so I know that much, but I do believe our council want to keep it moving and hopefully we can get all of everything done to get this end result. So.
Susan, do we have time for a couple of questions?
Yes, I think we do, a few minutes.
Okay.
What's happening to the prison wall on Chestnut Street where the new construction's planned?
The prison wall, as part of our agreement with the state, is that a lot of that wall would come down, but that we would reincorporate it into the site. Some of it, we know it's very historic, we want to keep it. We also know the structural issues, part of the wall came down in the tornado. So the wall is something that we know in order to facilitate the development, we wouldn't have it in the entire area, but we would make sure to recognize where the wall was, or if it's not anymore, and then we would also reincorporate it into the development so that it is part of the historic nature of it.
One last question.
Sarah?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, thanks for your presentation. I was just curious, is there still a discussion about moving the gas chamber from down below to up to be closer to the historic district?
Yes, potentially. And I would say everything's on the table because we know that there's a lot that has to happen. So everything is being discussed and what would really be the best. So it's like a puzzle. When one thing goes here, the other thing goes there. I know that's an extremely important part of the history and the tours. So we want to make sure that is maintained. But the city and state are working on that, and the state will always own that. Was there a hand back?
Just real quick, I mean, how many suites will that new hotel have?
We're looking at about 150 right now, and we know that there will be a lot of overflow. That's what council chose, 150, just so that there would be overflow to other hotels. And the original master plan shows like 2 or 3 hotels. So they anticipate that there will be more either on the site or just within Jeff City. So this will help all of our hotels.
How many square feet on the center?
I have that, I think, let me see here, I can tell you. So we'll make sure I get it right. Conference center increases to about 33,000 gross square foot on 2 levels. That's what we're talking about. Of the 33,000, we'll have, some of it is the back of house, like 19,000. Of the 19,000 usable square foot on the main floor, we have about 12,000 ballroom. Lower level, we have around 7,000 of additional meeting rooms. Expo space is about 30,000 gross, which nets about 20,000 usable. So.
Very good. Well, Mayor, thank you very much.
Well, I was just curious, is the convention center space inside the hotel or is that the building behind it?
Oh, that's the area behind.
Okay, and then there was originally a lot of talk about 2 ice rinks. Is that still happening? Is that still on the board?
I would say while anything could be on the table, I think that just needing a large, like the topography for something that big without any support beams and that kind of site may not be the best suited. I could see it could happen if the right person came. I will tell you, the feasibility study said we need a new ice arena, and why? We need 2 sheets of ice, not just one.
Yeah.
So the feasibility study has everything laid out. If it happened here, I think it'd be great because you can utilize it with Expo Space 2. Really, the main thing is going to be the cost. So it's not really planned. But I think as this gets rolling and you get a road and you get all these things, I would say nothing's really off the table. Everything can be considered.
Okay, yeah. Anybody have a quick announcement that you'd like to announce for the group quickly?
Really quick. The giant Abel Merle book sale in St. Martin's is happening. Today is half price day. Tomorrow is $5 a box. If you are an educator, you can go tomorrow with your educator ID and get free anything for your classroom. So please take advantage of that. And also Jefferson City West Rotary is having Music Fest next Saturday at Miller Performing Arts, and we are raising money for Special Learning Center, Council for Drug Free Youth, and Service Park.
Good. Darcy?
For the American Cancer Society on Monday, May 8th, we're having our farm to table event out at Fisher Farms again this year. And then on Friday, June 3rd, we're having our Relay by Full County Special with the check.
Okay.
Historic City of Jeff is having a rummage sale at the Annex at 601 East High Street tomorrow. It starts at 10.
That, glad you're here. Great, great. Thank you. Thanks for coming this morning. You want to? Thank you guys.
Oh, it's good sports on that.
They are.
I was great.
So we're not all.
Thank you so
And
much.
I'm just, like, and that's what I tell Penny, we tell them decisions like that, I'm like, this decision right now, it doesn't mean that we're locked into it. Like, so it's just, this is what we're doing now, it's see what works.